Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of FSI's PGA Preview for the Mayakoba Golf Classic. I'm flying solo this week. John cannot join us as his prior arrangements have left him uh, tied up this week. So just me. So I'm going to go extensively into some of these golf tiers, kind of like how I've been doing these Euro videos. If you want to catch Euro next week for its final tournament of the calendar year for the World Tour Championship, that will drop, I'm sure, on Monday or Tuesday next week. But we're here to talk some PGA. We have the last calendar event, the Mayakoba Golf Classic, as I was just saying. It is a par 71, 7,039 yards on the coast, also designed by Greg Norman. Funny that both tours are on Greg Norman tracks this week. It is a coastal course that plays inland, so you can get kind of the best of the both worlds with some tree lines on some fairways, and then you can have some coastal course. Uh, some of the holes bunker up against some of the sandy beach, kind of like Pebble Beach in a way. Uh, we have three par fives, four par threes, excuse me, and six par fours from 400 to 450. Chameleon Golf Club is the name of the course. Pretty nice in design, beautiful. Gonna expect a lot of bunkers from Greg Norman. Yeah, we're gonna be a pretty fun event. And with that being said, let's just jump right in. Get you some quick picks to get you going on your lineups. Probably going to talk about this whole 10K range real quick. It's no secret the best player in the field, Justin Thomas at 11.4. You're going to have to pay for it. So anything you do with Thomas lineups probably is going to have to immediately drop you to this 9K range. I don't think you can do a two stud lineup this week. It's going to be quite hard to figure out how to get 6 to 6 through if you're trying to roster both JT and someone like maybe Berger or Feno. It's going to be really brutal to do. I don't think many people will do it. I think even more so people aren't going to even try to stretch it the 9K range, or they're just going to try to punt the entire lineup in that 7K range with JT. It's he's won coastal courses like Sony, Tournament of Champions, Kapalua. He's 23rd in his debut, first in the model, basically almost first in every category. Six straight top 25s. I mean, what more do you need to hear about Justin Thomas other than he's the best player in the field? I'm not scared of the price tag. I'm going to have a decent portion of him in my lineups. Uh, I I guess you could say Brooks at 11K is a fairly good play. Seventh at the Masters, fifth at Houston Open. He says he's healthy. Seventh in greens gained, fourth in proximity, sixth in par fours. He is playing well based on model statistics, based on results. So, part of me wants to believe that Brooks has something to prove again, and I'm kind of like him heading into the next year. A buddy and I were chatting about, the majors coming up, and it just feels like everyone's kind of writing Brooks off and they're staying on that path. They're not jumping on when the majors hit. And I think, based on what we've seen in the last couple events, Brooks is kind of going for that echelon, getting into that top tier of being recognized as one of the world's best. And he's starting to see players like Bryson, JT, DJ, they're starting to gain a fairly good distance and talent as far as and results. JT and DJ just keep winning at least 3 or 4 tournaments a year. Bryson with the U.S. Open. I kind of think Brooks has got something to prove. Makes him I don't know if that makes him a great play this week at 11K at, the Mayakoba, but someone to look into heading into the year next year. I like Brooks. I'm probably gonna have a few of them in my lineups this week. Just you know, I just based on gut feeling, I guess you would say. Also, disclaimer: I do 20 lineups. If you're new to listening to this show, I do 20 entry max. So all my exposures are based on that. Next up, we have Tony Finau at 10-7, 38th at the Masters, 24th at Houston, and 9 top 10s overall this year. A couple top 20s here at at El Camelon, 2 missed cuts. So I think, based on looking at his course history, he's due for a top 20 after a miscut last year. So fifth tee to green, eighth in ball striking, 24th in putting, which was fun to see for Tony Finau. He does do well in these offshore, kind of like, resort course style course history, you would say. He did win Puerto Rico, which was Paspalum Greens, which is the the greens for the Camaleon. So I do like that correlation, and I actually used that correlation throughout the rest of my golf picks from there on out. So don't mind Tony Finau. It's kind of hard to not like anyone in this 10K range. Next up, you have Daniel Berger at 10-4, 17th at the Zozo, 15th at the tournament championship, tour championship, excuse me. Yeah, his form seems to be spotty coming down to the end of the year. I mean, he was unbelievable right after COVID, right before COVID. Berger was rattling off top fives left and right, but he's starting to fizzle out, and I'm not sure what we're going to see. We haven't seen him since the Zozo, with not being eligible for the Masters because of the way the Masters scheduled their field before COVID times. Excuse me. 51st in 2014 is his only result at this course. Second in par fours, though. He's second in putting, fifth in approach, fourth tee to green. I mean, he sets up statistically very well for this kind of course. I would assume the 51st in 2014 is just a debut. That is almost 6 years ago. So I kind of like Berger as he's a different golfer now. So I don't mind him as a sprinkle GPP kind of play. I wouldn't consider him for cash games. If you don't want to pay for JT in cash, I think you would play Tony Finau over Daniel Berger, personally. But I don't mind Berger at all. English is getting a lot of traction as a really touted play this week at 10-1. I actually don't fairly like the play for the price. I think there's better plays in Berger, Finau, and the guy below him, and Abraham Answer. I know Harris English has been on a roll this year. He was 6th at the RSM, 28th at the Zozo. I do not believe he played in the Masters either. 4th in the U.S. Open. I mean, he has great form and good results this year. 5th in 2019. He did win in 2013. But he does have 3 missed cuts, and a 68th as well in between. He does have 12th in short game, 8th putting. He's 5th in the model, 19 to green, 9th in greens gained. I mean, I'm going to have shares. I just don't think I'm going to have him as my guy in cash like everybody else. I think I'm going to play JT in cash. I typically like to balance it out when I'm struggling to find value, but what we've seen and noticed throughout the course of the year, and something I'm going to make some adjustments on going into next year, it's really hard to make 6-6 lineups, even in cash games. It's not as much as a lock anymore when you're trying to click on these balanced guys in the 8K, 9K range to just say, oh, well, here's 6 guys that are going to make the cut, and I'm not going to worry about the winner. Well, the upside of this winner, even with 4-6 or 5-6, has really carried into cash games, and it's going to be an adjustment I'm going to make. So as I think JT wins this week, I'm going to take JT as my cash game play at 11-4 over Harris English, who at 10-1 could very well finish top 10, or he could miss the cut. And frankly, the course history dictates that kind of result. So I'm going to be in on English and also out in cash. So that would be my stance. Next up is this 9K range. We have Abraham Answer at 9,900, 13th at the Masters. Really contended at the end, as we know. He was in the final pairing with Sungjae Im and Masters winner Dustin Johnson. Fourth at the Shriners. He's finished 8th, 21st, and 9th in the last three. And a second at RBC Heritage, which is another coastal course. One would think a course like that, that's right on the shores of South Carolina, could be a course correlation. He's third in par fours and ninth in the model overall. He is a Mexican descent, and this is where the golf course is being played in Mexico. So he does get a lot of fanfare for his heritage. So don't mind Answer. He's going to be talked up as much as that. I think the Masters form that we've seen him in and the course history carries him over as one of fantastic play. I like him in cash more so than I would Harris English. I think my hope is to be able to play JT and Answer in cash games, but if I can't fit him in cash games, I'm going to play Russell Henley at 9,300. Second in the model, first in approach, first in ball striking, second tee to green, first in greens gained. I don't think there's anyone on tour right now hitting the ball better than Russell Henley. It's nuts what he is doing statistically, week in and week out. He's even fourth in par fours, fifth in proximity. He sets up perfectly for this course. I don't know what his pass palm splits are for putting, but I can assure you Russell Henley is going to be hitting the ball very well this week. 30th in the RSM, so he has really good recent form. Fourth at the Zozo, third at the CJ Cup. He did not play in the Masters. He is 29th in 2018, and he did miss the cut last year in 2019. I'm not worried about that. I think he has the 29th place is good enough as far as course history. The form is there. Probably going to be a cash play. You can't play Answer and Henley, so hopefully moving to Henley at 9,300 gets me a better golfer in the 8K or 7K range. A couple of GPP plays in this 9K range that I don't mind. Hovland at 9,700. He did win the Puerto Rico Open this year. So same course correlation with Feno and the greens. Hovland, who does struggle around the greens and on the greens, looks like this could be maybe a really good putting surface for him. It's typically quite easy to putt on this course. But the elite putters do excel more so than the non-elites, and Hovland is definitely non-elite on his putting. But he is he's 14th in par fours. He came in 15th at Houston, at 12th at the CJ, and 13th at the U.S. Open. He's playing very well. 7th tee to green. I don't mind Victor Hovland as a GPP play at 97. Zalatoris is going to be making another start. 4 top 20s in 5 starts. 15th in approach, 12th ball striking, 3rd greens gained. 9,200 is probably a stretch. You always wonder, when is it going to bite you in the end. But Zalatoris seems to be just proving everybody wrong week in and week out. I think he's someone that I just will have 1 or 2 lineups in, and not a full jump all in, kind of like with Henley. The next 2 golfers, Neiman and Connors, are the exact same kind of golfer. Both really good on the approach, inside the top 15 in both approach, tee to green, ball striking, par fours, and greens gained. Connors had the 10th at the RSM. Neiman was 44th. Connors also 10th at the Masters. Both missed the cut last year, and both had finishes outside the top 60 the year before. Pretty identical between the two. I think what I'm just going to do is maybe go 5 of 20 with both of them. So I really love this 9K, this low 9K range with Henley, Neiman, Connors, sprinkle in Zalatoris, and play probably a little bit more answer than I would English and Burger. I might not have any Burger at all. So moving into 8K, moving right along. Carlos Ortiz is coming off a win at Houston, 8,900, and he was second last year at this event, 39th in the model. Definitely a drop off, if you ask me, from this 9K range into this 8K range. The golfers that are in this range are boom or bust, in my opinion. I don't think just because, Carlos Ortiz is a Mexican golfer who just won an event, who came in second last year, is going to reciprocate those results basically because of that. I think his strokes gain metrics aren't as strong as someone like Connors and Neiman, which is going to lead me to more of the Connors and Neiman and Zalatoris picks than Carlos Ortiz. I think 89 is too high, which will probably lead to a fade. Brendan Todd, 8,600. He is the defending champ, first in short game, first in putting. So I guess you would see where the emphasis should lie as far as model statistics. But I just love, guys that can hit the ball on strokes gains approach more so than I do putting in short game every week. So for that, those are for the reasons I like the guys above these guys. Munoz is a guy at 8,500 that can just win out of nowhere or top five or miss the cut. He missed the cut at the RSM where guys were kind of heavily on him, but he did finish at 19th in the Masters. So he did have a missed cut last year and a 69th finish in the year before. But like I said, Munoz is a wild card. He could win. I think I might, if maybe one or two, I'm not sure, but I'm not really leaning towards having any of Ortiz, Todd, or Munoz. Just fair to mention them as potential plays. Grillo would probably be my favorite in this tier at 8,300, 41st, 15th, and 9th, and 10th in his 4 starts here. I really like that course history. I like what he's done recently in past years on resort courses and at Puerto Rico Opens, and he typically seems to show up in these offshore random resort like courses out along beaches. Grillo, kind of like the fall swing champ. I like Grillo. 7th in approach, 16th tee to green, 10th ball striking, 6th in greens gained, 18th overall in the model. He kind of falls in line with Connors and Neiman as far as being really strong in between the tee to green, but just terrible on the green. So hopefully he could show up on the past Palom greens as I've seen him do before in Puerto Rico. Someone like Brendan Todd is Patton Kazire, 8K, 10th at the RSM, 11th in Houston, 24th at Shriners. He has 3 outside finishes in the top 50, and then he won in 2017. He's 16th in putting, or 6th in putting, 12th in short game. He just is identical to Brendan Todd as it can get, just very accurate off the tee. He has won the Sony Open, which is another course that lines the coast. So I don't mind Kazire. I guess I would lean Grillo Kazire in this 8K range as fairly decent plays because they're probably cheaper. And that would be the only reason. I don't see there's much difference between the top and the bottom of the range. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the guys that are cheaper. 7K. We have Harold Varner the third at 7,800. He did miss the cut last week. 15th at Houston, but then he missed the cut in Bermuda, and he was third at Shriners. So he's kind of back and forth on his form. He did have a really good year this year, though. I'm really impressed by Harold Varner the third this year. I think he could show up this week. He was 38th last year, 6th in 2018, but he missed the year 2017, and 5th in 2015. Excuse me. 4th in the model, 3rd tee to green, 6th on the approach, 7th ball striking, just lining up all up and down the model this week. I think a lot of that is uh, based on the previous results earlier in the year when he was rattling off top 10. So I think that could be some skewed numbers. He's been a little bit more up and down. I think he's only going to be best served for GPPs. Ches Reavie and Keegan Bradley are basically the same at 7,700. Not so good form, or not so good course history, but they are really good at ball striking. Very terrible around the greens and on the greens. But I think I would tend to lean Keegan Bradley here. Straka is my favorite play in this 7K range at 7.6. Surprisingly, 16th in putting, 26th on the approach, 25th in ball striking, 5th place recently at Houston. He did miss the cut last year, but I don't put much stock into that. I think Straka can bounce back here and do fairly well. I like him for cash games. Doug Gim, John Huh at 7,400. I like both of them. They have some really good strokes gain numbers. John Huh has got a couple of top 30 performances at this course. Doug Gim was 20th in Puerto Rico. He's really been coming on strong, young golfer. Denny McCarthy is always worth a mention when we're talking about guys that have to putt well to win. 48th, 41st, and 68th in his 3 stops here, 7,400. Charlie Hoffman, 73. Pat Perez, 73. Kind of like the same. Pat Perez is really interesting. He has 8th, 6th, 34th, and 1st in his starts here, but he has missed the last 4 cuts. So this is course history versus recent form play. If you believe in course history, you play Pat Perez. If you believe in recent form, you don't play him at all. But he was 21st in par 4s from this distance of 400 to 450, 31st on the approach, and 33 putting. I'm going to be in on Pat Perez. I think this is his kind of course. He is a Mexican golfer. I love playing Pat Perez at short coastal courses, so I'm going to be in on him. I do like doing the same with Charlie Hoffman, 23rd at the RSM and 29th at the Houston Open, 16th in the model, 29th on the approach. So I like Charlie Hoffman. He's got 22nd in putting as well. So I'm gonna be striking this bottom 7K range as the bulk of my value plays from Straka, Gim, Huh, or John Huh, McCarthy, Hoffman, and Perez. 6K, I'd only like a few. Adam Shank, 6,900. T Dunks, Tyler Duncan is my guy. Tyler Duncan's 19th on the approach, 14th ball striking, 23rd proximity, 48th, 38th, and 50th in his starts at El Camion. Andy Ogletree was the low am at the Masters, 6,700. I might take a few darts. I think I was fairly impressed with how he played. Seemed to putt pretty well on the Masters greens, so I'm gonna take a few stabs at him at 6,700. Why not? Another couple guys I like in the 6K range: Burgoon, Cameron Percy. Cummings is another amateur trying with a sponsorship exemption, trying to make a name for himself. I didn't mind him. Rob Oppenheim and Chase Seifert to round it out with some punts. So that'll do it for this edition of FSI's PGA Preview, the Mayakoba Golf Classic. I am TK Nation 47. You can follow me on Twitter. As always, please like and subscribe to the videos. It goes a long way to help give us the content we love to do for you. And, it's been a fun ride. This should wrap it up for the 2020 calendar year for the PGA Tour. The last video for the calendar year will be next week for the World Tour Championship for the European Tour. But thank you for listening for this year. Tune into the next couple of weeks. There might be some tournaments coming out, or some videos coming out for some basic how-tos for golf DFS, and maybe you can understand our process a little bit more, what's made us successful in our own right as far as being expert DFS players. So thank you, and everyone have a good day, have a good tournament, and join us in the Discord. Follow us at fsidfs.com. Take it easy.